Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons in context to Candela Obscura. And I have a confession to make about Candela Obscura. So, I intended to cover Candela Obscura from the perspective of I was positive it was not a threat in any way to Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm very interested in this subject. You know, the 2023 OGL crisis really prompted this massive change in the. I truly believe that this year is the year where the Kumbaya Garden has been fully burnt, and we are on contested ground. And every single new tabletop role-playing game that is good or that matters is in full virtual daggers out competition with Dungeons and Dragons day one. And the D&D community and the OSR community and the indie community all have significant numbers of people who want to see D&D toppled, and so they're going to choose any champion they can find and put it in position to beat Dungeons and Dragons. And so it doesn't matter what the creators' intentions are for their game. It doesn't matter what the designers' intentions are. It doesn't matter what the owner's intentions are. All that matters is what the tabletop role-playing game community is going to put on your game. And I'll tell you right now, the tabletop role-playing game community, without a doubt, is going to put on your game, can you beat Dungeons and Dragons today, right? And this is, and one of the things I was excited about for Candela Obscura was, first of all, I thought it was the biggest mistake they made was putting Taliesin Jaffe on this. He did some writing on this, which is really kind of surprising. I think he's low energy. I think he's copy energy 100% of the way. And I think he's the biggest mistake that's been attached to Candela Obscura, right? And so I really expected to be like, ooh, I'm going to get some points here. I'm going to be able to tell everybody Candela Obscura, we're in the shut up and put up mode, and Candela Obscura is failing to be a real threat in any way to Dungeons & Dragons, right? That is not the case. And the reason why is I have a confession to you, and here's my confession. I am hooked, man. The hook is in my mouth, right? So I get people all the time, Scott, Scott, you roll up on this channel. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I know better than you. And I'm like, wait a second, dude. Now, first of all, if you say this on, you drop in and you say it and then you shuffle off, fine, right? But I get people who are coming back for weeks or months or years and saying, Scott, you don't know what you're talking about. I know better than you. Listen, you're listening to my content, right? I don't listen to your content. I don't roll up on your channel, right, every day and tell you that you're wrong, right? If you're on my channel every day, right, if you're on my channel 3 times a week commenting, you're engaged. The hook is in your mouth, right? Like, so whatever you say that the content isn't X, isn't X, isn't X, who cares? Hook's in your mouth, right? The hook is in my mouth on Candela Obscura. What do I mean by this, right? I experienced this. I now know it. I know this feeling. Like, I sense it because I had it so sharp, and now I know what it feels like, right? And this came with Perry Mason. So I have HBO Max, which is now Max, and we went through the incredible, horrible ordeal of upgrading to Max, which was an absolute, travesty, right? Like, it was a mess. But we have Max again, and I have it for free. I don't have to pay for it, right? So we have Max for free, and so basically, I was watching Perry Mason, brand new show, really, really good, fascinating show. If you get a chance, watch the new Perry Mason. It just had its 2nd season. Watch both seasons; they're fantastic, and you got to watch them both. It's just the thing. Both seasons, right? And so really fantastic. So here's what happened. So Perry Mason comes on, and I'm like you. I watch different shows, and I experience show holds every now and then. When am I in a show hold? It's when I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, what am I watching again? Like what show am I in the middle of? Outer Banks. I've been watching season 3 of Outer Banks. Utter garbage. I'm trying to drag my way through it. Season 1 was good. Season 2 was bad. Season 3 is horrible. But I'm invested, right? I'm connected to this material, right? But Perry Mason, so I drop into Perry Mason, and I don't think anything of it. And I watch season 2, episode 1. Watch season 2, episode 2. So watch season 3, episode 3. And I get to the point where I'm like, watch season 2, episode 4. Click. Right? And wait a second. Where's the episode, right? So there's 8 episodes to the season. They dropped 3 all on the first day. I didn't know that, right? And when I got to that point where I wanted to watch season 2, episode 4, and I was like, oh man, this hurts. This hurts. I want this content bad, right? Like, I want to complete this story right now, right? Like, whereas Outer Banks, I could barely remember I'm even in the middle of it, and I'm just trying to finish it, but I can't, right? Like, so that's the difference. And Candela Obscura has got me hooked. I have downloaded the Quick Start Guide. I am reading the Quick Start Guide. I went through the video, and I just can't get enough of it. And I'm really interested in like the Gilded Die. The thing that really got me when I downloaded the Quick Start Guide is there is a sheet for the party that has been done before in tabletop role-playing games. So why does it matter now? That's a good question. Like, you're like, Scott, if you're excited for Candela Obscura, who cares? Like, Blades in the Dark is already there. I realize this. It's talent and exposure, right? John Harper has incredible talent. He has no exposure. No one knows who he is, right? And so his game doesn't matter because nobody cares. Nobody knows it, right? That is not the case with anything Matthew Mercer touches, right? And so this is Matthew Mercer, and other people will say Critical Role. Critical Role isn't real. Critical Role is just a name. In my humble opinion, Critical Role isn't real. Critical Role is just a name that says this genius is attached to it, Matthew Mercer. He's the Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls, right? He's the magic part of it, right? And so I know I could say, hey, do you want to play Candela Obscura? And there's going to at least be one or two people who are like, oh, I'm definitely down to try that. You mean Candela Obscura, the one where Matthew Mercer, the guy who is the voice for Ganondorf? Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, that's what I mean. Right? Candela Obscura does the thing that Dungeons and Dragons does and goes beyond the rule set and pushes its exposure beyond the tabletop role-playing game scene, right? So the hook is in my mouth, and I would love to tell you, oh, Candela Obscura is going to get crushed by Dungeons and Dragons, but now I'm wondering, because it really does have interest, right? Like I think, and that's the issue, is can you punch above the tabletop role-playing game community? And I think that's what's really interesting, and that's what's really that's where a game gets very, very interesting. And so Candela Obscura has that draw, right? And I am hooked. Like, the hook is in my mouth. Oh, here's the other thing. I desperately wanted to watch the Candela Obscura episode, and I couldn't because it's on Twitch, and it doesn't drop on YouTube for another 2 weeks. And I felt that Perry Mason sting. So I really, really, really want to watch this show. So my opinion on Candela Obscura is changing, right? Based on evidence, right? Like, so every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a wonderful millennium.